Hello. It's almost afternoon. I guess still good morning. My name is Justin Viller with the Committee of 70. We are back for our next edition of Studio C70 with our candidate interview series between students and candidates who are running for election on November 4th. And so today we're very excited to have Daniel Wassmer, who is the Liberal Party candidate for the Superior Court of Pennsylvania open seat. And so I am going to pass it over to Charlie McGeehan, who is going to be asking his social science honor students from the Academy at Palumbo to be interviewing Mr. Wassmer. So thank you both very much for being here. And Mr. McGeehan, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Justin, for
Thank
coordinating, and thanks, Mr. Wassmer, for being here with us today. We've got some students who are going to ask questions of Mr. Wassmer, 6 or 7 students who are going to be asking questions. And then we were going to start with the speed round. We're going to dive into some background questions, and then we'll get into some more specific questions. So I'm going to ask
Sure.
our first 2 students to come up, introduce themselves, and start us off.
All right, hello. We are so excited to be here with you today. My name is Jennifer,
My name is Josiah.
and we will be asking you some speed round questions. So for starters, what would
That
you say
sounds
is your
great.
favorite movie? Oh,
I'm
what would
sorry.
you say is your
my
favorite?
what? Emoji?
No, your favorite movie and
Smile.
or show.
Oh, movie. I'm sorry. It's breaking up. Did I get it right? Movie?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to tell you, it's probably the movie Death Proof seen before. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's actually so over the top that it becomes humorous to a certain extent. If you're familiar with Quentin Tarantino movies, they're usually pretty blunt movies, but like I say, it's so over the top that I find them to be really humorous. That
Okay.
now, by the way, now you know one of my answers on my to get into my accounts and whatnot. They always ask for a safety question, so I'm gonna have to change my movie name. But go ahead.
We'll guess on that.
Uh,
Okay.
our next question is who's your favorite singer?
My favorite singer.
Mhm.
Wow. Um, you know, I'm you can tell I'm a little bit older than you folks, so I actually have gone to see a band called the Grateful Dead over 150 times. So I would probably say Jerry Garcia, who's no longer alive. But interesting little tidbit to that, and I know this is a speed round. I actually met in my travels about 3 or 4 months ago a band member's cousin in Norway, Full Dead. So that was an interesting experience. Sorry about that.
All right. Next up, who would you say is the most important person in your life?
Phew, that's a really tough one. I can tell you who the most inspirational person is, maybe, but I suppose my kids, my kids have to be. So, I mean, I do everything to try to make sure my kids are well taken care of and stuff. And just bringing them along and seeing them turn out to be really good people, is probably one of the most important things in my life. So,
Okay. One more question we have. What's your sign?
is that it? Did I hear that right?
I believe so. The question was, what's your sign?
Oh,
Astrology.
yes. I'm a Leo.
Okay.
Makes sense, makes
So
sense.
I'm a Leo. Yeah.
Well,
Now you're getting all of my hackable info. So
we don't mean to.
you can only fit my birthday, everything now. I try to not put that out on social media for a reason. Now it's gonna be out there. That's
It's okay. We'll tune it out. From 1 to
There you
10,
go. Thank you.
how do you feel about your chances of winning this election?
Oh, good. I've run twice before for office, and I actually ran in the U.S. Senate campaign against John Fetterman and Dr. Oz. I actually came in dead last. I came in number 5. And what's interesting about that is a number of people didn't even know I was running. And I literally just saw John Fetterman out in Pittsburgh 2 days ago. I was out there for an event, the celebrate the synagogue that had a mass shooting a couple of years ago, and I ran into John Fetterman, and people said, "Oh, there's John Fetterman," and I said, "I know, I ran against him." And people said, "Oh, I didn't know that. And had I known, I probably would have voted for you," which I thought was a pretty funny response. But as a non-establishment party, it's very difficult for us to win an election. I'll put it that way. So
Are you more of like a ketchup or a mustard type of person?
I am 100% mustard.
Mustard.
I am
Yeah.
my aunt used to put ketchup into spaghetti with
What?
sugar. And
Italian over here.
so there is no way, and I'm very particular about my mustard. It has to be brown mustard. I do not like yellow mustard. I mean, I like it. I'll take it if it's the only thing available, but it's got to be brown mustard. I like spicy. So
Mm.
Yeah, I'm more of a ranch girl myself. But finally,
okay.
to settle a very common class debate, 6 or 7?
Mhm.
6 or 7, which
6
number
or
do you
7.
prefer? Yeah.
Seven's supposed to be the good luck. Yeah, so it's tough. I mean, I speak Spanish. I learned 6 before 7, so I feel like there's a certain leaning towards 6, but I have 7 here. Apologize.
All right, wonderful. That concludes our round. We will present you to the next group of students, and I hope you have a good time talking to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you for asking those questions. They were great.
Hello. Hello. I'm
Hi,
Joey.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Okay. My name is Joey. And I'm Wendy. And we're gonna ask you some background questions.
Sure.
Okay. Our first question is, what inspired you to get involved in politics?
I've gone through a lot of political changes in my life. My parents were heavily involved in politics. My father was actually an elected official in New York. So my mother actually worked for a Pennsylvania state senator at one point. So it just came naturally to me. Plus, I'm an only child. So it's been something I've been surrounded by my entire life. My best friend is actually a New York Supreme Court judge, and we grew up. I grew up in New York, so on Long Island, and he is actually, like I say, a judge. When I was a kid, our fathers were from two diametrically opposed political parties, and we got along perfectly well. It was great, and I just ran into him recently, and we had a good conversation. It was really interesting, but I think it was just my family background brought me into politics more than anything else.
Okay, our next question is, why are you running for Superior Court specifically?
Question, I don't know if you saw the interview that I gave on PCN Network. I was asked that question by the interviewer. It was his lead-off question, and my response was that there were basically a number of sadistic people out there who kept putting my name on the ballot, and I got a lot of negative feedback from a lot of the people who support me. I think they literally try to torture me by doing this to me, quite candidly. There is a reason they want me to run because I do know the issues, because I do have a background having worked in government. I'm a lawyer. I have an MBA in finance. I'm a college professor. So I have a lot of it. I have over 35 years of legal. So they keep saying, you need to do this. And then I kind of bow to the pressure. Ultimately, they'll say something like, if we get enough signatures to get you on the ballot, will you run? And it's like, how do you say no to that? So I'll be honest with you, I'd like to see younger people involved in politics and trying to make our system work better. Let me put it that way. So that's one of my goals for running for office.
Okay. And we know you're a part of the Liberal Party, but which party, Democrat or Republican, do you think most aligns with your values?
I would say that on any given question, I could go become more like it's funny that I was just labeled a left leaning activist by a website that I did not respond to questions for. And when I ran for Attorney General back in 2016, I actually ran for another party. I think it was Philadelphia Magazine characterized me as a right wing conspiracy theorist. And I thought to myself, I wish they would, and neither of them ever talked to me about this. They just came up with these labels for me. So I'm actually glad you're asking that because journalists should do that before they start writing what I am. My whole campaign when I ran for the Keystone Party was to try to find common between the two parties so that they would stop yelling and screaming at one another and try to work together. And I wanted to kind of be the hall monitor for a situation. So as a judicial candidate, you have to kind of sort of be apolitical or non-political, but I would say it would depend on the situation. I can't just say one way or the other what I would lean towards. So I know right now it seems like I'm more heavily leaning towards Democratic ideas, but there's some differences I have there also. And one of the unfortunate things is we do put labels on people. For instance, they claim that Republicans spend less money, and actually, I think that Democrats spend a lot less money than Republicans. So it's hard to really gauge, and you really have to look at particular issues.
Our next question for you is what made you join the Liberal Party and what does the Liberal Party offer?
So there's actually a long history to that, and I know we have a limit. At one point in my life, I started out my life as in the Democratic Party. I actually worked for a Democratic congressman for a while. I then ended up becoming a Republican for a while, largely because my parents were involved in Republican politics and so on. And I actually ran a presidential race for a Republican presidential candidate years ago. Um, as an attorney, I happen to also have been involved in a lot of lawsuits in New York. Strangely enough, I was for Donald Trump's first divorce. Non-sequestered attorneys. I was actually in the courtroom on a different case, and some of the stuff I heard made me not want to be affiliated with the Republican Party back then. Some of the stuff that's been alleged against him, I actually heard in his divorce. So I know that certain things that are being portrayed as them out to get me things are actually legit issues. So I didn't want to be affiliated with them. There were some other reasons that I became associated at that point with the Libertarian Party. There was a candidate named Gary Johnson who had some positions that I thought were really positive. One of the things he, for instance, wanted to do was withdraw troops from Afghanistan 5 years before it ended up happening. And I thought to myself, what a waste, where we could have elected this third party person who wanted to do this years before. And now people seem to be taking credit for that, not taking, and I just, but anyway, I then became involved in Libertarian Party politics. Then that was taken over by the Republican Party, so to speak, a very extreme right-wing version of the Republican Party. We formed something called the Keystone Party. Then the Keystone Party actually merged with a number of other groups to form the Liberal Party. So it's gone through this. I've sort of been along the ride of what other people have been doing, and they keep asking me to run for office. So that's a very long question. Sorry about the long question, the long answer. So
No, you're okay. Okay, our last question is,
okay.
what message would you like young voters to hear?
I actually teach business classes, and in business, and I teach law classes also. And in business, there's something called a pastel analysis for businesses. And the P, pastel, deals with political. So it's ethical, technical, and legal issues that businesses have to deal with. So from a business perspective, I tell my students that they have to know what's going on in the political world and that they should critically analyze the information that's being presented to them by people, not just accept labels. Literally look at the issues and be aware of them. So your question, it's exactly one of the issues that I try to instill in my students is that they need to think independently to really evaluate what it is that politicians are trying to tell them. I talk a lot about unintended consequences of legislation that we pass and how it can be harmful to people, even though it's meant to do good for one particular issue, it may actually be harmful. So it's really important that people understand that, and students really need to get a firm idea and back. Doing these types of events for me is like phenomenal because then I get to talk about this stuff. And it's actually one of the reasons I'm a college professor, because I enjoy talking about that type of stuff. I want to teach people how to learn, fill your mind with stuff. You need to make those decisions in my mind. So hopefully I had answered your question.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all of our questions. And then our next group is going to ask you some more specific ones.
Okay, thank you. That was great.
Anyone again, friend?
How you doing?
Good, how are you? Good, how are you?
So Eagles shirt there. I was going to say go Birds. So not you guys, but somebody walked up before. So
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 My name is Beatrix.
My name is Rains.
My name's Emil.
How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
So the first
Good, thank you.
the first question that we're gonna ask is, are you concerned that you running means taking votes from a party in which most of your values align with, meaning unfavorable party wins, and how do you justify this?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question because I've been asked that question a number of times.
Yeah.
No, I don't. And the reason is because people don't earn votes automatically. They have to earn the vote from the voter. So if there are people who don't want to vote for that particular candidate, they shouldn't be voting for that candidate. One of the problems in this country it's that only two political parties and we only have those two choices. We are an abnormality relative to the rest of the world. Most of the world has a multi-party system, and we have such a divisive political system here right now that it's actually harmful to to the US in total. I believe there should be more political parties involved in the process. And what's interesting about this particular election is that I'm the only third party candidate who's running. And most of the people who would vote for, let's say, the Forward Party or the Green Party or maybe the Libertarian Party don't for those two major party candidates. They just find the whole system somewhat corrupt to begin with. I can give you a lot of examples, having worked in government, about how the two parties literally use, for instance, tax dollars to fuel their own parties through something called pay to play politics, where non bid contracts are awarded to people through public works. One of the interesting things that I often see is that you have these infrastructure plans that get passed on a bipartisan basis, and then the two political parties get to select who their architects, engineers, attorneys, accountants are going to be, and they all get those jobs by making donations to one of the two political parties. And they have literally carved up the US. They're literally taking money out of your pockets. I estimated that if we actually parties pay us all that money back, we would probably have fully funded health care in this country to begin with. We'd probably have a ton of money for education and every other social program you could. Candidly, to just say that I'm taking votes for one of two parties that's part of this ongoing problem is, I'm not going to say it's nonsensical, but most of those people who understand that stuff are not voting for either of those candidates. They simply wouldn't even bother to go to the polls at that point. So
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
So for the next question, knowing that you're like a less popular party, how do you stay motivated to run even like against your fellow candidates?
I am the only person in the United States right now who's running on behalf of the Liberal Party. So everybody in the United States, there's now, I believe, 40 different state parties that are looking at my election. So as far I've been doing this for a number of years now. It's not something that's foreign to me. It's kind of in my blood to want to see us move to a multiple. One of the things that I find somewhat fascinating is when I'm watching TV, and it doesn't matter what avenue of the media the journalists are leaning towards, most probably have a viable third party in this country. And when I was running, for instance, for US Senate, I approached a number of those people who were saying that. And I said, I'm a candidate for a third party. Why don't you have me on your channel and interview me if that's what you want to do? And by and large, never got a call back in any of those cases. But I will mention one other. Bernie Sanders ran as an independent. So it's not completely a situation where people cannot get elected as third party candidates. It's just in people's minds that people are not viable. I get a number of emails from people who say that they would vote for me, but they're going their way, and I have no way to convince them to vote for me one way or the other at that point because they're just not going to do that. They literally just have it in their minds that they could never have anybody independently elected. And what's really interesting in a three-way race is I don't have to convince a lot of people to change that. Because anybody who gets 34% of the vote could conceivably win the election. So it's not a huge hurdle. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question that we
you're
have
welcome.
is we were wondering why you didn't want to partake in the Pennsylvania Bar Association questionnaire.
There's a number of reasons for that. Actually, they didn't contact me to state that. But
Yeah.
one of the other problems is that the election laws in Pennsylvania are written in such a way that it makes it very difficult for third-party candidates to actually get on the ballot. So, for instance, we need more signatures and a whole bunch of other things. One of the biggest problems is something called the judicial rules of ethics that require essentially either Republicans or Democrats to cross-file to show impartiality. Well, I'm the only independent who's actually on the ballot. And if I cross-file, which is technically required under the judicial rules, they would be able to keep me off of the ballot because I would then have to run as either a Republican or a Democrat. So this could create a problem even with respect to me going to the Bar Association for them to basically rate me, because then they could start to raise issues like that also. So there's a number of reasons that people don't actually go to for a rating. Probably the best example I could think of that was Alan Rubenstein, who was the district attorney. He's now a judge up in Bucks County. He actually refused to even go and be evaluated. In 2010, I was picked by the Intelligencer as the best attorney in Southeast Pennsylvania. So, I mean, at that point, what's the rating gonna be? It's like I've been picked by voters as the best attorney in Southeast Pennsylvania a number of years ago. And when I was still a Republican, I was asked if I wanted my name submitted to be a federal court judge. So somebody's going to rate me how at that point? It's like one of the it just didn't make a lot of sense for me. So
Thank you. And then
you're welcome.
a question to finish this off. We just were wondering, what is one of the proudest moments maybe in your life, or like working in law or as a teacher? What would you say is one of the proudest moments there?
Things that often comes to mind. Obviously, I really love teaching. I love practicing law. I'll be upfront on that. Practicing law can be really brutal at times. I've dealt with some really horrible situations. People, you know, women who have been abused by their husbands, children that have been abused, all kinds of stuff. But I guess one of the things that actually left me deeply moved was a guy who had been old, and he had been contacted by an insurance company to resolve his case, and they told him that his wife's, because of the insurance issue and the fact that the person who killed his wife was drunk at the time, they said that there was only I think it was 15 or $30,000 policy, and that all he was going to get was $30,000 for having passed away. And I said, and he was so broken up over the whole thing. He said, I want to do the paperwork. I want you to do it. And I said, well, let me look at this for a while and see if I can figure something out. And I actually ended up suing the bar that served the drunk patron. And I managed to recover a relatively substantial amount of money for this guy. And it was so life-changing for him to get that money, which he didn't think he would be able to get. And it helped him, believe it or not. I mean, money's no substitute for the loss of life of somebody, but it sort of get over some of those issues. I would probably put that up there as one of the better things that I helped with. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Looks like that's the end of our interview.
Oh, me.
Okay.
Hey.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Mr. Wassmer. Really appreciate your time this afternoon. Best of luck with the rest of the campaign. For those watching, November
Thank
4th is
you.
election day. Make sure if you're voting by mail, make sure you get your ballots back to your county elections office by 8 p.m. on election day. They will not accept postmarks. So take care of that. But any parting words from either of you?
It's always
Thank
fun to do this stuff. I love doing it. Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much, Mr. Wassmer, for joining us, and thanks to our wonderful students for coming up with great questions and asking them well. We always appreciate this, and thanks to Justin for helping put it all together.
Thanks,
It's
all.
great. The work that the Committee of 70 does, I find very compelling. So I may have to join you in an election at some point. So,
Wonderful. We love that.
okay.
Thanks all. Best of luck in the rest of the campaign.
Have a good. Thank you. Have a good day.